In this world, wherever people gather in large numbers, the topic of discussion is rarely anything more than showing off, belittling others, or gossiping endlessly about every little thing under the sundae. So, I ask myself, why should I even step outside for that? I have a pure heart, and I know how to live for myself. In life, I don't want to force myself into serving others just to appear friendly or easy to approach. Yes, I may seem distant in the eyes of some people, but the truth is I never live by anyone else's standards. Even if I'm alone, with only a few friends, I am never lonely. Instead, I feel comfortable and free, because I don't have to fake or force relationships, and I am not bound or restricted by anyone. People like this, people like me, have a pure heart, know how to please themselves, and live for themselves. We create a life based on our own ideas, not someone else's. I know your life is busy, but what I'm saying here isn't something easy to take in, especially not if you just listen once. My advice is this: watch till the end, and listen again and again in your spare time, whether you're relaxing or even while doing housework. Share this and save the playlist so it's easier for you to come back. I'm certain that in just a few short months, your way of thinking will grow and your mindset will rise to a whole new level. Friends, I greet you with this thought. The socializing of the poor is nothing but slow suicide. If a person wants to live happily, it is better to be arrogant than to be insecure, better to be decisive than to be hesitant. Today, let me say something boldly. Human beings do not need any form of social networking. The socializing of the poor is not even worth the dirt under your shoes. Since childhood, our parents and teachers have taught us to unite, to love one another, and to build good relationships with classmates and friends. But the reality is this: when you face the world alone, you'll realize you can only rely on your own abilities or the money in your pocket. There are many fools who can't see through this reality. They value relationships too much, throwing themselves into endless socializing. Today, they waste time drinking with colleagues. Tomorrow, they get dragged into useless games by broke friends. And it's not only friends who can be shallow. Poor parents can be just as practical. When we were young, just learning to speak, everyone told us, your parents love you unconditionally, so you must obey them. But those who have stumbled and struggled in society know this truth. Things are not as simple as they once seemed. We all understand this truth. Our parents are no different from anyone else. They choose the rich over the poor, they respect the strong, and they trample on the weak. If they see that you're busy outside but not making much money, on the surface they may act supportive, but deep down their actions betray criticism. They demand that you live a certain way. Do this, do that. That kind of subconscious behavior is no different than telling you directly, you are worthless trash. I know my words sound harsh, but sometimes blunt honesty is far better than sugar-coated lies. And when it comes to useless friends or even your boss, there's no need to say much more. Today, too many people spend their lives learning how to please, how to flatter, how to become lapdogs just to curry favor with their superiors. Does it work? Sure, sometimes. But never forget the greatest principle in this world is equal exchange. You think that sharing a few dinners with your boss, singing some old songs from the 92nd, and pouring your heart out over drinks is enough to make you brothers with them? Don't be naive. No matter how close you get, you are still just an employee, someone they hire, someone they pay to work for them. And that fact will never change. The moment they find someone cheaper, more obedient, easier to control firing, you will be the smartest decision they make. That is the cold reality. So, in order to survive in this practical, ruthless society, only money is real. Relationships, socializing, empty trash. If right now your monthly salary is only a meager amount and you're struggling to survive, then stop wasting time. Don't spend your days bragging, traveling aimlessly, or showing off to worthless friends. Use every moment after work to search for a higher-paying job. Look carefully at what skills or conditions those jobs require. Work hard to meet those requirements, then make the jump. If you have ideas, start writing. Record videos. Put yourself online and become a content creator. When you build a following, you can consider starting your own business. And when things grow even bigger, you can build a small team. The point is, take control of your own life. Try, practice, experiment, and when the time comes, if you no longer need to work for others, then don't too. Understand this: the higher you climb, the less you need to please others, and the less you need others to please you. Those who spend their days chasing relationships, clinging to socializing and exploiting connections, they are nothing more than greedy, poor demons. and you must never become one of them. Stay away from those people. And let me tell you, this so-called emotional intelligence or social cleverness, in the face of real ability, it's worth less than dirt. You might argue, but if we don't socialize, how can we grow? Well, let me explain. Why do some people prefer staying at home all day and avoid going out? Why do some people enjoy being alone? It's because everything they love is right at home, while most of the people and things they dislike are out there in the world. Think about it. Wherever there's a crowd, what do people talk about? Showing off? Putting others down? Gossiping endlessly? If that's all there is, why should I even bother going out? I have a pure heart. I know how to live for myself. In this life, I refuse to force myself into serving others just to appear friendly. Sure, I may seem distant, maybe even cold, in the eyes of others. But the truth is, I never live according to someone else's standards. Even if I'm alone, with only a few friends, I am not lonely. On the contrary, I feel comfortable, free, and at peace. Why? Because I don't have to pretend, I don't have to force connections, and I am not chained down by shallow relationships. People like this, people like me, have pure hearts. We know how to make ourselves happy. We live for ourselves. We build the life we want, based on our own vision, not anyone else's pull. Yes, this means shrinking the circle, having fewer friends. But what comes with it is a stable, peaceful life. No matter how many people walk beside you, no matter how many connections you make, in the end, you must face life alone. So, don't be afraid when your circle of friends gets smaller. Don't be sad when your ties with relatives or acquaintances fade away. The wisest choice for an adult is simple. Work hard to make yourself better and take good care of your family. Do you agree? Now, let's talk about this 12 traits of people who like being alone but have strong inner strength. The first trait, they are introverts. Many people assume that introverts are weak in this noisy, busy world. But contrary to that stereotype, their solitude gives them tremendous strength. Those moments of being alone are when they connect deeply with themselves, focus with intensity, and let their creativity flourish. Yes, extroverts may seem more popular in modern society, but introverts never feel abandoned just because they are alone. In fact, they enjoy the peace and quiet. These private moments recharge their energy after social encounters and help them restore balance in life. The second trait, they are independent. Whether alone or surrounded by others, people who love solitude tend to complete tasks on their own. They value personal experiences. Their independence shows in the way they handle life. They take responsibility, they trust themselves, and they rarely rely on others for validation. They trust their own way of thinking and their own decisions. Yes, they are willing to listen sincerely to what you share, but they never depend entirely on someone else's advice. Their sense of self-control drives them forward. Because of this independence, they tend to work with high productivity, without needing heavy rules or strict supervision. In fact, people who enjoy solitude are often more effective in environments where there are fewer people around. The third trait, they do everything they like alone. The silence they carry is like a shield, protecting them from judgment and prejudice. They follow their passions without worrying about what others might think. Sitting quietly with a book all morning, walking through the park alone, enjoying simple routines, what others may find boring or suffocating, they find deeply fulfilling. They don't shy away from having dinner alone, or even going to the movies by themselves. They prefer facing challenges solo, without needing company. To those around them, this can be mistaken as isolation or loneliness. But in reality, solitude is the space where they can freely enjoy life's simplest joys. The fourth trait, they value time. People who love being alone understand the value of time more than anyone else. They know they cannot afford to waste it, and they learn to use it wisely. They prefer staying at home or spending time somewhere peaceful, engaging in activities that actually build their lives. That might mean writing a journal to deepen self-awareness, learning a new skill, or simply allowing themselves proper rest. Alongside valuing their own time, they also respect the time of others. They will not keep you waiting for appointments or waste your energy on meaningless delays. The fifth trait, they rely on themselves. This is one of the most positive qualities of people who enjoy solitude. When faced with pain, they don't rush to call a friend to complain. Instead, they find ways to soothe their own emotions. They have the ability to manage and stabilize their feelings, even during hard times. That's why it can be difficult to tell when they are sad, because they handle emotions with remarkable control. While they may spend much of their time at home or in solitude, It doesn't mean they are weak. Quite the opposite, they are strong because they know how to take care of themselves emotionally without leaning too heavily on anyone else. Even in their quiet solitude, they always carry positive thoughts, searching for ways to solve their own problems. Because of this, they are not easily dependent on others. The sixth trait, they are deep thinkers. A key characteristic of people who enjoy being alone is their tendency to observe from a distance. They focus on listening, reflecting, and analyzing the world around them before speaking or taking action. Because they are so used to solitude, their perspectives are rarely swayed by outside influences. Their quietness often holds a kind of strategy, like a chess game where every move is calculated with care for the next step. Their time alone allows them to reconnect with themselves, to recognize which parts of their lives need growth, and to clearly see the path toward becoming the best version of who they are. The seventh trait, they are comfortable with a small circle of close relationships. Quality over quantity perfectly describes the way they build connections. They don't avoid meeting new people, but their true care and attention are reserved for a few trusted friends and loved ones. You won't often find them at every weekend gathering or constantly showing up for casual social events. They are most comfortable in their own space. They only attend group activities when necessary, such as important occasions like birthdays, weddings, or graduations of those they care about. And when they do show up, they give genuine support, love, and presence to the people who truly matter. But once the party ends, they return peacefully to their own safe zone, the solitude that recharges them. The eighth trait, they love themselves. This is often misunderstood because they are not loud, not overly social, and not always seeking the crowd. People may mistake them as self-centered or cold. But in truth, their self-love is not arrogance, it is strength. They know how to value themselves, nurture themselves, and protect their energy in a noisy world. The ninth trait, they understand and care for their inner child. People who love being alone have the ability to connect deeply with themselves. They trust who they are, and they treasure even the small, simple things they achieve because they know those little victories carry great meaning. They have the rare ability to heal their own emotions. That means they can accept mistakes, reconcile with regrets, and forgive themselves for what has passed. They spend a lot of time focusing inward, not because they are selfish, and not because they think the world revolves around them. On the contrary, loving themselves is actually a sign of compassion, and people who truly know how to love themselves often become more open, more empathetic, and more understanding toward others. The 10th trait, they avoid conflict. Because they are so familiar with peace and quiet, they naturally stay away from unnecessary drama. They dislike gossip. They see it as nothing more than a waste of time. That's why they are very selective in choosing friends. If someone disrespects them or tries to cross their boundaries, they don't hesitate to walk away. They would rather let go of toxic relationships than allow their inner peace to be disturbed. The 11th trait, they have clear boundaries. People who enjoy solitude are fully aware that society is vast and that human connection is an essential part of life. Yes, they enjoy spending time with friends, with family, talking with colleagues, or joining group events when necessary. But they always draw clear lines. Their personal boundaries are like a shield that protects them from toxic personalities, those who could disturb their calm or shake their stability. Boundaries help them remain grounded, balanced, and in control. The 12th trait, they have strong self-awareness and calmness. Solitude gives them the chance to reflect, to sort through emotions, and to look honestly at themselves. This constant practice of self-awareness helps them understand their inner world better and also see the outside world more clearly. Because of this, they are able to make wiser choices. They face the past with honesty, they look to the future with confidence, and they live the present with true happiness. And perhaps their greatest strength is this, the ability to remain calm. Even when faced with failure, sudden misfortune, or conflict, they do feel stress, they do feel overwhelmed, but they don't lose control. Instead, they immediately begin to regulate their emotions. This resilience, built over years of independence, allows them to stay composed when others might break down. And that, more than anything else, is why people who love being alone often carry such powerful inner strength. My dear friends, many times in life, exhaustion does not come from work itself, but from meaningless social interactions. Sometimes, an old acquaintance suddenly calls you after years of silence, not because they truly miss you, but simply to gather enough people for a gathering. At that moment, you must learn to firmly say no. Because truly intelligent people never waste their energy on shallow socializing. If you are a person of depth, chances are you either socialize far less than most of your friends, or you sometimes worry about whether this so-called laziness towards social interaction is normal. But think about it. At the end of a busy day, or after a long week, the way one chooses to spend their nights and weekends reveals their most authentic self. Some people love crowded places. They go shopping, spend hours at bars, gossip online, or meet friends just to chat and drink. Meanwhile, there exists another kind of person. They don't care much about what's happening outside. They retreat into their inner world, seeking a rhythm of life that feels calm and purposeful. To them, solitude is not a burden, but a conscious choice. And here's the truth. Such people have the strength to win all the battles of their own lives. If along the journey of life, they get to walk with a fellow traveler even for a month, a year, or a decade, that is a kind of blessing. But ultimately, only you can complete your own path. You must take control of your life first, before you can truly live it well. Einstein once said, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." A person with a dream and the courage to act upon that dream must also be willing to step away from the noisy crowd, to cut ties with relationships that have no meaning, and to keep a tranquil heart while pursuing their own goals. From another perspective, solitude is not a punishment. It is a destination, a place the soul is constantly seeking. Instead of saying that intelligent people are destined to be lonely, it is more accurate to say intelligent people choose solitude. So, if you find that you only have a few close friends, if you enjoy walking alone down the street, if you live alone but still feel perfectly fine, then perhaps you are not ordinary at all. The ancient philosopher Zhuangzi once said, "Those who can be alone are the ones who are truly noble." To him, solitude was not isolation. It was freedom, self-harmony, and self-completion. Think about it. Since childhood, we've been taught countless lessons on how to get along with others, how to fit into society, and how to excel within a community. Yet, we often forget one of the most fundamental truths. Our greatest enemy in life is not other people, but ourselves. If you can learn to defeat yourself, if you can learn to live in peace with yourself, then you will have unlocked the highest form of mastery. Because in the end, the art of life is not just about coexisting with others. It is about learning how to coexist with your own soul. My dear friend, if you truly have the ability and greatness to do better than others, you will inevitably have to become different. You will need to step away from the majority, who move day after day in quiet desperation, chasing after fragmented dreams, fame, social status, houses, cars, academic titles, women, or fine wine. The majority are caught in their own cages of small worries, fearing that success is a limited account, something to be fought over, stolen, or crushed out of others. But those with exceptional minds see through this illusion. They understand that being different means being lonely, but it also means being free. And in that freedom, their talents bring forth rightful abundance. Those with great intellect do not waste energy on gossip or shallow criticism. Instead, they spend their time innovating, creating bold ideas, and turning visions into reality. They do not waste their breath explaining themselves to the immature or the narrow-minded, simply because their inner compass is guided by the principle of uniqueness. Yes, their path may be lonely, but it is a loneliness filled with value. True success comes from their own abilities, not from the tongues of others or the fleeting judgments of society. In the wisdom of Zhuangzi, the task of life is nothing more than finding yourself, and then finding your own path. On this journey, everyone will at times feel lonely. But accepting loneliness is the first step toward living a fulfilled life. Because if you cannot be in harmony with yourself, you will never be in harmony with anyone else. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "Only in solitude can a person be fully themselves." If someone does not love solitude, they do not truly love freedom, for only when one is alone is one free. We may travel across the world with companions, but when we reach the horizon, when we reach the end of the earth, we walk there alone. And in that moment, solitude becomes a quiet joy, a gentle comfort. It is not tied to material possessions or fleeting desires. It is not influenced by ambition or need. It springs from within, from an inner strength, from a calm heart, from a soul that has learned self-mastery. To embrace solitude is a kind of courage, a noble posture of life. When we move quickly, we can enjoy the thrill of speed. When we slow down, we can savor the beauty along the way. We are not blinded by vanity, nor misled by falsehood. This is the strength of those who are humble, graceful, yet wise and deeply resilient. Because in the end, being a sheep is easy, but it is also dull. The price of being a lion is solitude. And just the same, when you want comfort in the crowd, you may be grass. But when you choose to stand tall as a great tree, you must be ready to bear the loneliness.